talking about this entire snapshot of this conference, it wouldn't be an SEC preview show if we didn't talk about arguably the front runner for the preseason award winner by many players, by many media, I should say, and that's Kentucky. Heartbreaking loss in March Madness by St. Peter's there. I know that one gives you a little smirk on your face, but this Kentucky team is reloaded. I mean, they're bringing back Oscar, who is the returning Wooden Award winner. This is the first time in 40 years we get to see that, Steve, that they're returning back the National Player of the Year. That's fun. I mean, that is a fun storyline in itself. You see this reloaded. You bring in Chris Livingston, who's a 5-star recruit. You bring in Antonio Reeves from Illinois State from a transfer. This has the opportunity to really look like a good basketball team. Kentucky, I mean, if you were putting out an NCAA tournament bracket right now and you had to fill it out and send it into Warren Buffett for your chance to win the Powerball, I mean, there's a strong opportunity that you'd have Kentucky in your Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. And then I was listening to Seth Greenberg on the Blue Ribbon basketball podcast, and I have a quote here from him. He said, "The standard in the SEC is still Kentucky."
Yeah.
And he feels, and he said, this guy, meaning Calipari, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch, and he's going to coach this team every day. And I think that is a key here. Calipari really loves this team. The fact that Oscar came back is just such a great bonus. And that St. Peter's loss could turn out to be a blessing and a catalyst this year, not as bulletin board material or not as, for people that did return, we're going to avenge ourselves. It's not that. I think it has re-energized John Calipari. And I think after that loss, sure, it hurts, and we heard him talk and you could tell that he still loved his team.
Mm-hmm.
And as the offseason went on, you started seeing more and more interviews with Calipari saying, this is a good basketball team. I love this basketball team. I can see us winning so many different ways. So I think you now have a re-engaged John Calipari, and that's bad news for fans of other SEC programs because Calipari isn't going to just let the horses run free. He's going to get involved in those huddles a lot more and in practices, and he is going to find ways. And he's such a great basketball coach, but he's good about changing how he attacks opponents based on what those opponents' strengths are. So for me, that's what makes Kentucky that much more dangerous. Now, admittedly, I don't have them in my Final Four, which we'll talk about later in the deal, but they're going to the 8. They're going deep. And if they can stay injury free and they don't get worn down in the warfare that really is SEC basketball, Kentucky could very well prove me wrong, and they could very well be in the 4.
Yeah, there is plenty of things to be excited about for this team. You talk about he's going to be right in the mix of things. He's going to have to make sure that they're in check and ready to go right off at the beginning of the season because they're non-conference. Their beginning of the year, their 2022, before they get into the new year, is no walk in the park. They are in some pretty interesting tournaments. We're going to see them against Michigan State. We're going to see them against Gonzaga, and we're going to see them against Michigan, UCLA before the year's up. I mean, there's some plenty good teams that we're going to see some great games. Probably some of the best games remaining in the year of 2022 will have Kentucky involved in them. I can see that Kentucky-Gonzaga game on November 20th being an absolute game of the year moment somehow, some way. I think there's just some really good opportunities. We're going to really figure out what this team is right away. I'm looking forward to it. Calipari, some people, I'll write a report thinking that if Calipari doesn't do well, he's in the hot seat. I just can't see it. No way. I mean, I can't see Kentucky finding a way to move away from John Calipari. Not right now. Not what he does with this team. Not how year in and year out they have at the top of the rankings. If he gets them to the Elite 8, to the Final Four, no way is his seat even warm. He's comfortable. He's completely comfortable.
Yeah, I want to throw one name out that Kentucky fans should. I'm going to throw out 2 names out. Jacob Toppin is a good basketball player.
Mhm.
Calipari has been saying since he got him to transfer in from Rhode Island last year that Toppin's going to be a high first round draft pick in the NBA. So he could be a nice number 2 option for Kentucky. Take some of the pressure off to Siwebe. Wildcat fans, cut Siobhan Wheeler a break. Okay, did he turn the ball over at costly times last year? Yes, he did at times. Okay, did he struggle from 3 points? Yes. He is the oil that allows this engine to run smoothly. Okay, so as much as you love Oscar, and Oscar has earned that love. He's so good
For
with
sure.
fans
Yeah.
and, spends time before and after games with kids and goes to high schools and grammar schools. You don't see many college kids doing that. Wheeler, you're turning him into the anti-Oscar, and that's not fair. He's a good point guard, and you're going to be happy you have him once we get to the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. He is that grease. He's that oil that's going to keep things moving.
I agree. I think that there's a really, really good team in front of us with the Kentucky Wildcats.